Hey guys, welcome back to week 2, day 2 of exponent rules. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about negative exponents, okay? So negative exponents like you see on 5, 6, and 7. Now also I know that you see some 8 through 15 as well. Those are just a little more advanced, so we're going to hold off until tomorrow and Thursday to talk about those. 5, 6, and 7 correspond to numbers 4, 5, and 6 on your homework. So once we talk about this lesson, go back and do 4, 5, and 6 on your homework. So, negative exponents, what exactly does it mean? Well, if you look at the note sheet that is also online, a negative exponent just kind of tells you to flip the location of where you're at. So what does that still mean? So let's look at that. So a negative exponent, you're going to write it up top here. Negative exponent, hold on one second, sorry. Okay, negative exponent you want to flip the location and drop the negative. So a negative exponent, you're going to flip the location and you're going to drop the negative. So negative exponent, you're going to flip the location and drop the negative. So what does that look like? Well, let's look at number 5 here. So number 5, we have x to the negative 62 over x to the 4. Well, the only issue there is x to the negative 62. That's our issue. The 4 is perfectly fine. So what I want to do there is I want to flip location. So I need to move this down to the bottom. So I get x to the 62. And once I move it down to the bottom, the negative sign drops. So I move the location. So if it's in the numerator, I move it to the denominator. If it's in the denominator, I move it to the numerator. The x to the 4 is perfectly fine there, so I leave it. And just like in last week, if there's nothing on top, there's a placeholder of 1. Okay? So now I go and do the product property. So it's 1 over x 62 plus 4, because when I multiply, I add. So I'm left with 1 over x to the 66, and I'm done. So with negative exponents, you move the location and then fall back on the properties we've talked about before. So that's our answer for number 5. So let's look at number 6 and see if we can do some of those things we just did, see if we can keep it together. So I'm looking at this problem here, and that x squared on top is perfectly fine. But my issue is that x to the negative 7. Well, it's in the denominator, so to get rid of the negative, I need to move it to the opposite. So it's in the denominator, so that needs to move to the numerator. Remember, there's a placeholder of 1 there. You absolutely can put it on the denominator. You don't have to. Well, now I go to my product property. So I do 2 plus 7. And my answer is x to the 9th. So once you move the location of the negative numbers, then you go back to exactly what we talked about last week. So if you're kind of confused with that, go back and watch those videos and then tie that into negative exponents here. Okay? So let's do one more. Okay, so number 7 is a little more difficult. Why? Because now there's 2 negatives. So what do? Well, x negative 6 is in the numerator. I got to get rid of the negative, so I'm going to move it to the denominator. It's positive, we're good. Now I have x to the negative 9 in the denominator, so I need to move it to the numerator. Now it's positive, it's good. Now I go back and do quotient property. So I have 9 x's on top and 6 on bottom. Where do I have more x's? Well, I have 3 more on top. I can put my placeholder of a 1 there because there's nothing on bottom. Or I can write it as x to the 3rd. Okay? So again, looking back at our note at the top, negative exponents just mean to flip the location and drop the negative. So that's what we did on problems 5. We moved the 62 to the bottom. It became positive. On number 6, we moved the 7 to the top. It became positive. And then on number 7, we moved the 6 to the denominator and the 9 to the numerator, and then we simplified from there. Okay? So hopefully this helped you with what to do with negative exponents, and hopefully you can do now 4, 5, and 6 on your homework. If you have any questions, make sure you log on to Zoom. Thanks for stopping by, guys.